Hello everyone, I'm Dr.Jayshree Om and you're watching me on my YouTube channel. Subscribe it for good Vastu tips. Well, I have been talking about my most popular book, The Vastu Remedies, but today we're actually here to talk about my childhood days. As you can see, my new haircut. It talks about my childhood days, and this is how I was. And I'm still a child at heart. Yes. As you know, I have written many books on Vastu and ancient scriptures, but this time I thought of sharing my journey with you. I am so overwhelmed with the love and appreciation you guys have given me and written through the reviews. Also, I feel sad for those who are very unkind with their reviews, very cold with their comments. But I feel sad for them because, the reviews are not for me. The reviews actually show how much love you have in your heart and how much of hatred you're carrying in your heart. So just be kind. If you don't want to write, just don't write anything. Well, because this heart is meant to carry love for the divine, love for every single person, every single being, every single stone, leaf, buildings, flowers, because everything has been created by Mother Divine. Yeah, that's how I think. Do let me know what you think in your comments, in my comments. So, just to give you a little hint about my new upcoming book and how Lord found me, how Bhagwan found me. So, it has the journey of my childhood memories, why I am the way I am. You love me, you hate me, but one thing is for sure, that Bhagwan Shiv loves me for sure. Yes, there is a hint about my upcoming book. So, how you get to know more about this? Yeah, by listening to this podcast of me, Jayshree Om, subscribe it and do share it with your family. So, yes, the book is about Bhagwan, as the Zen Z calls him Shiva, but the scriptures call him Shiv. So my first question that I got from my brother was, "Hey, why are you writing on Shiv, Bhagwan? Because you write on Vastu." And my answer was, because he is the Lord of Vastu. Well, I didn't want to bore him with my philosophies, so I just said, because he is the Lord of Vastu, so I'm writing about him. But when I look back, I realized that I haven't written a book on Bhagwan, because he has written my book on my journey even before I was born, because our lives are already written. And the truth is that I didn't choose Bhagwan, or I didn't choose Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva chose me to tell my story, my experience, my emotions to the world. Well, mm, I'll not reveal much about the book, but let's talk about my childhood days. So, childhood was in Kathmandu, beautiful. I spent 12 golden years of my childhood in the beautiful city of Kathmandu, which is, of course, a valley surrounded by mountains and Himalayas. And Pashupatinath wasn't just a famous temple for us, but it was part of our life. We would visit the temple, offer our prayers, and simply just sit under the peepal tree and would watch the pigeons and the monkeys. And as a child, I didn't actually understand why I was supposed to go there. I only felt uh, a strange urge to be there. And every Saturday, I would tell my aunt, "Let's go there." I would watch the sadhus for hours and think why they are dressed this way, why they put the white bhasam on themselves, why do they carry the jhola. And there was something so attractive about them. It was all just so fascinating. The entire experience of Pashupatinath, I still have the images engraved in my mind. And the sound of the big gong, the big bell that we had at the entrance was so enchanting. I could not reach up till the bell, but I would always try jump high, but it never happened. Actually, I will not say there was fragrance of incense, because the the fragrance of incense is not what I have in my mind. I have the fragrance of the cart, which was actually a proper burning heart back in the early 90s. I'm talking about. Uh, People used to burn the gone ones at the Bagmati river, and which was so full of water, flushing water. And the ghats were not scary. I would not call them scary, but the leaving of the dead and the burning of the dead always fascinated me. Even till today, when I was in Manikarnika Ghat, I spent almost 2 hours there, just looking at the dead bodies. And and I realized that what are we fighting for? Why are we even fighting? Why are we fighting? Why are we just keeping everything for ourselves? Because once you're dead, there's nothing left to carry forward except for your good deeds. But all these things were not there on my mind when I was a child. But uh, the the ghat uh, did have did have an impact on me, and I had a strong calling for the tantra sadhana, which I am practicing now under my guru Om Swamiji, which is a pure positive way of doing the sadhanas of ma uh, the Das Mahavidyas, which I am experiencing now, and it is just beautiful, as Swamiji explains. And it was all written back then. I knew that psychology has said it and proved it, that our childhood has a great impact on our life, but it would have this kind of impact is something just so strange for me. And like I said, the burning Bagmati was something that I have it on my mind. And the sadhus, I would stand at the stall where you have these flowers for the charawa and offering. And I would stand there, guard the slippers of my aunt and my cousins. They would go inside for hours, and then they would come back and ask me to, they would give me coins to give to the sages there, the aghoris. And they would sit in a line, and I would just give them one coin, and they would be so happy. And a few of them would not even bless. They were like, you give, you don't give, doesn't matter. Lord is taking care of us. So they had that kind of energy in them. And after I left Kathmandu for my middle school years, I came to Bangalore. My uncle, maternal uncle, took very good care of me. See, my mother had to send me off because there were no good schools, no education in in the village. I would call, now it's not a village anymore, but Birganj in Nepal. My mom had to send all of us out for education, and I grew up in Bangalore with my uncle. And the interesting thing was, there was complete change of faith. With my aunt, I was practicing going to temples, Buddha Nilkant, Patan, Bhaktapur, Pokhara, and Pashupatinath, and Lord Ganesh temple. Those were my those were the rituals that I was doing. and and suddenly there was a change. I come to my maternal uncle's home, and I was practicing completely an opposite way of life, that is uh, not thinking about the gods, but just uh, going within, talking about the soul. And so, because we are Jains, and in Jainism we don't practice murti pujan, so I had throughout my middle school years, I did not visit any single temple. It was hardcore Jainism, and I would visit the monks. We have the white sadhus with the patti, and they just talk about the jinn. The jinn is, the Jain word comes from the jinn, and jinn is the atma. And it was completely a different experience, though it was beautiful. I learned how to do the mansik puja. I learned how to sit for long hours in one asan. uh, and my uncle was very strict. He would make me do the Jain chants, the Nokar mantra, logas, and the bhakti songs of our Terapanth gurus. Beautiful, and all of them I still know by heart, because he would make us do every single day. We were not allowed to miss anything, any of the evenings. So for an hour we used to sit and chant the Jain and do the Jainism samai, like 48 minutes we sit in one asan, and we just either do japa or chant anything, or you read some Jain books. So that was my routine. And post my marriage, I got married very early. I was just 19 when I got married, and then I continued practicing Jainism, which I'm still very fond of. I'm very fond of the Jain ways of uh, the Jain ways of ahimsa and aparigraha, the non-violence, and of course not hurting anyone, not even a jeev, not even a stone. So all those things I still practice. And for up to 2010 I was practicing my Jain ways, and had read a lot of Jain scriptures, because I took my reading habit from my mother. And I would just read, because somehow I'm not a social person. I love to read. I would rather read than to just while away time doing nothing productive. So yeah, so that was the journey of my I think late early 30s, I would say. I was a hardcore person. Not I would not budge with my ways. And then there was a fall again. my after my losing my factory, it was a big slap on my abilities, I would say, because me and my husband, both of us are very well qualified, but we just couldn't run the factory. So maybe I thought, maybe I have to change my ways. I started to become more receptive, and somewhere in my heart, I knew that things will fall in place. And my Shani Mahadasha was going on, so I kind of was looking into the astrology part of it, looking for answers. And so that is when, you know, uh, I think Lord Shiva quietly showed his presence. And again, my ways of looking at things started to change. Like I said, I became more receptive. And since Lord Shiva was missing during my entire middle school, my 20s, I didn't know how he would find me, but there was no contradiction in my spiritual journey, just a balanced growing up spiritual journey, I would say. So here the chapter 3 starts, the search. Somehow I feel, my life is like a book wherein, I can divide every part of my life into chapters. So the chapter 3 is about the search. So this is probably the strongest part of my growing up. Like as I grew older, life became more difficult, because of course, you go through your ups and downs in life. You can't just have the upper graph. You got to see the lower graph so that you can respect your upper graph. So my health declined terribly, and I like kind of went looking for answers, not only medicine, but I thought, maybe the answers are there in the planetary positions or the house. So that's why Vastu came in my life, astrology came in my life. And slowly I joined the Reiki classes. I did the Reiki classes, got familiar with the Reiki system. Then slowly Isha Foundation found me, and I love doing the Isha Hatha Yoga practices. I went to Coimbatore, did a yoga course, and there was a 21-day ashram course, and I just loved it there. And near the Dhyana Lingam, I would sit for hours looking for answers that andar se kuch aayega, but kuch aaya nahi. And I came back, and the health got worse. So after a couple of months, my husband said, so, you should go to Shivananda ashram and get your answers there. I was like, really? I think my answers lie in the yoga. I should do yoga. And I went to Shivananda ashram, practiced yoga, became a teacher, yoga teacher, 200 hours of hardcore practice, and they are brilliant in their ways of teaching. Sitting next to Ganga Maya was just 27 days was one of the best days of my life. Experience new ways of food habits, everything. But again, the health part of it did not, nothing came out. I became the teacher, I got my certificates, but yet nothing. So I came back. So that was about my chapter 3, that, Bhagwan, Lord Shiva was, kind of coming in, leaving, coming in, leaving. So we were playing hide and seek. And then my the chapter 4 of my life begins, where I am trying to look for the answers in the books. I read one scripture, then the other scripture, then the other scripture, like, Vastu ke sare scriptures I read of, Sri Bhagavad Gita, Purans, Devi Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran, and then came Shiv Puran. I kind of didn't connect with Shiv Puran back then. Like 2017, I had read, I couldn't connect with it much. So I came back to my Vastu scriptures. I was like, my answers are here in this book. And Mansar, I read Mayamat, Vishwakarma Prakash thoroughly. And Samrangan Sutradhar was a voluminous one, but yeah, I did read it, translated it, and then Swamiji found me. 2018 beginning, he found me, and there I was doing the Gayatri Sadhana with him. Something about him was different, and I want to share this story with you. So there is this interesting story of how Swamiji called me. I wanted to write it in my book, but maybe I'll write it someday. I want to write a book on my guru's miracles in my life. So this is one of it, where Bhagwan, as I call him, Prabhu Gurudev, Om Swamiji. I should be touching my ear when I take the name of my guru, which I really need to develop this habit. So it so happened that there was this Kundalini retreat that was I got a mail from Isha Foundation that there is a retreat on Kundalini, and I I thought of joining the retreat that was to happen in the month of December. This was December 2018 after I came back from the Shivananda ashram. Just give me a second. I need to drink some water. So, December, I was so sure I would be joining Kundalini because there was something so mystical about this Kundalini concept. And like I said, childhood itself, I was fascinated by the occult and the sadhus, and they just drew me towards them. So Kundalini, I was sure I will be doing with Isha Foundation, and believe me, I got a dream, and there in my dream, I sensed that there was somebody nearby, and even in my dream, I could sense that there was somebody, in the room. I still get goosebumps when I think of the dream. So in the dream, Swamiji was sitting under the tree, black robe. I did not see the face, but with the body posture and everything, I could figure out that it was my guru. And he said, "You are not coming for my Kundalini retreat." And there were friends, there were my yoga friends, yoga shiromanis who had done the yoga program with me. I said, I was like, Swamiji, uh, retreat. He said, "You are not coming for my Kundalini sadhana retreat." And I was shocked, and I checked the dates, and there it was, January 19th. And I kind of, then I had double thoughts, should I do the Isha Foundation one, or because by then I had not decided what this guru system is all about, because in Jains we don't have this the uh, diksha and all that. So I was not sure what to do, and so this dream kind of had an impact on me. It made things clear. So I called the number that was given on the website, and they said, "No, that retreat is full. We are sorry, you cannot join, maybe next time." But I was so desperate to join, and again my health was in a very poor state. So my husband said, "Any other city, I will not be able to send you." We were staying in Jaipur back then, and because the retreat was in Bangalore, he said, "Okay, you can, if you want to go to Bangalore, you can." But again, it was full. So I don't know, somehow I kept trying other numbers, and from one number to the other, they kept giving me that you ask him, he may try. And then finally, fourth or the fifth time, I got hold of. I think I don't recall the name, Srinathji or somebody. Then he said, "Okay, directly through the portal, you cannot get the entry. I'll try to get you through the known sources." And somehow I paid, and not through the website but some other link, and And I was there at the retreat, and seeing Swamiji in the black robe teaching the Kundalini sadhana, I just melted, and everything in me kind of, those 2 days uh, just was like as though I was with Bhagwan himself. They were just mesmerizing, those 2 days in Bangalore. There I met my doctor, Mayank, and he saw me, and he said, I know what is the problem with you. I said, no, none of the doctors have been able to figure out what the problem is, so how will you know? And I didn't know Mayank. We were just, standing next to each other, having the meal, and he wasn't eating. He just had paneer, and he just said, I don't eat roti. So I was like, why don't you eat roti? Roti is healthy, and chawal dal, it's very healthy. He said, no, I don't eat all these things. And then I just said, since I don't know this person, I said, I don't want to break my head. And then he said, I can cure you. I'm like, who are you, And he said, I know you're going through a lot of problems, and I can cure you. And I said, okay, let's figure out this sometime later. And I came back, and the health went it just got worst. My husband was supposed to leave for a retreat for a month. I didn't let him go. I said, I'm just not in the shape. You have to be there for me. And my husband has always been my best friend. He's always there for me. And after 2 months, we went through a lot of checkups, and nothing came out. All the reports were good. Everything just was good. And finally, after 2 months, I kind of got this courage to call Dr. Mayank, whom I had met in the retreat, the Kundalini retreat. And then he said, Jayshree, it is your carbs that is making you sick. I said, what carbs? He's like, you are gluten intolerant. I was like, no, I don't believe you. He said, go check it. I checked it, nothing came. But then slowly, steadily, Mayank took me through this entire journey after quitting um, the, the carbs, the high carbs. Dal had carbs, rice had carbs, gluten had carbs, the milk with sugar had carbs. So, my entire life was filled with carbs, and that is what was making me sick. And now I am here 6 years after this tough journey, and I know that how carbs. So now the world is going on and on about protein, but my uncle, 2019 itself, he asked me to quit carbs and just to stick on to protein, and I've been doing that, and trust me, I am much, 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 much healthier. And so that was the chapter of my finding my guru, finding me. And so chapter 5 is a little more about my books and my current practice of sadhanas with my guru, and practicing Vastu as a consultant, and placing manjushas, coming out with new remedies for people. Earlier, I was like, just read the books, remedy ho gaya. Then I realized that maybe, people who cannot read books, who cannot find time for books, we need to have simpler remedies. So I kind of started bifurcating things, and so Vastu became part of my life. And finally, there came a time when Lord Shiva was, no longer someone I prayed to. uh, he became I have become uh, a part of him. I'm wearing him. I love wearing black robes. I've cut my hair short so that I don't have to waste time in, taking care of long hair, um, because really in short of time I have to read so much so that I can give you the best of the verses from the scriptures, because japa, the sadhanas that I'm taking, I want to give maximum time to that, and the little time I'm left with, I work for the books. I'm trying to get these books in a much simpler language, trying to express myself. And Shiva has been there with me, and installation of shivlingas in various factories and temples have actually made me grow, emotionally, spiritually, and everything slowly started to revolve around him, because all the Vastu scriptures are written by Lord Shiva himself, and the manjushas that I have been placing like crazy, each manjusha is nothing but a Shivalinga itself. So ending it today. So today, when I look back over my life, I don't see a single event which was not connected with Bhagwan. I see that thread, connecting everything, from a little girl walking through the temples of Kathmandu, through the corridors of Darbar Marga, to someone who now spends her days studying scriptures and writing about Bhagwan Mahadev in this current book, uh, is something um, which probably I wouldn't have been able to had not Lord Pashupati Nath been there with me during my childhood days. So perhaps I wasn't searching for Bhagwan or Shiva all along. Perhaps Shiva, Bhagwan, Lord Shiva was patiently guiding me step by step, one at a time, and then weaving my life, you know, taking through storms and good times. So in my next video, I'll share more of my stories revolving around Bhagwan, Lord Shiva, and why, that eventually uh, the stories turned out into this book. I'll soon unveil the cover for you guys. Sleep tight. Thank you for listening. Do subscribe and share with your family members. Jai Shri Hari.